The first scream came from a narrow alley behind a busy street. It was late afternoon. The sky was bright. People were shopping and walking home. A small crowd gathered because something strange had happened above the road. The air had looked like it tore open for half a second, like a clear sheet ripping, then snapping back. Then a pale shape fell out of that rip. It hit the ground hard, rolled once, and ended up on hands and knees. It was tall and thin. Its skin looked almost white. Its arms were long. Its head was down, like it wanted to hide. A few people froze. Most people did what they always did. They pulled out their phones. "Yo, is this a villain thing?" a teenage boy said, already recording. "Look at this. It's creepy." A woman grabbed her little kid's hand and backed away. "Don't go near it." The pale thing did not attack. It did not roar. It did not look for a fight. It crawled. Fast and awkward. It slid into the alley like it was trying to disappear. It pressed itself against the wall behind a stack of trash bins and old boxes. Then it started to cry. Not the kind of cry you hear from a child. This was low and shaky, like it hurt just to breathe. The boy filming swallowed and zoomed in anyway. "Okay, what the?" Another person laughed nervously. "Maybe it's a street performance. Some quirk prank." A local side hero in a bright vest arrived, pushing through the crowd. His name was Traffic Shield, and his quirk made hard, glowing barriers in the shape of signs. He was not famous, but he was good at keeping people safe. "Back up," Traffic Shield said. "Everyone, step away from the alley. Give it space." People listened, sort of. They backed up, but their phones stayed up. Traffic Shield looked into the alley from a safe distance. The crying made his skin crawl. He kept his voice steady. "Hey, you okay in there?" The pale thing did not answer. It pulled its hands over its face, like it was afraid of being seen. A small drone buzzed overhead. A child was holding a controller with both hands, grinning. The drone dipped low, as if it wanted a better shot. "Stop!" Traffic Shield snapped. "Bring that drone down!" The child flinched. The drone wobble stopped for a second. Then it drifted forward anyway, like the signal lagged, or the kid panicked. The drone slipped into the alley. The camera pointed right at the pale thing. For one short second, the camera caught the face. It was simple and wrong at the same time. A stretched mouth, wet eyes, skin pulled tight. A face that looked like it was trapped in a constant scream. Traffic Shield's stomach dropped. The crying stopped. Everything went still. Then the pale thing made a sound that was not crying anymore. It was a scream. Sharp. Loud. Full of panic and rage at the same time. The drone feed played on the kid's controller screen. The kid stared at it, confused. Traffic Shield moved, but he was one step too slow. The pale thing shot out of the alley like a bullet. It did not run like a person. It ran like an animal that only knew one goal. It slammed into the street, scattering people like bowling pins. It did not stop to hit anyone else. It did not look around. It locked onto the child. The kid turned and tried to run. His shoes slipped on the pavement. His controller fell. The drone crashed into a light pole. Traffic Shield threw a glowing barrier between them. The pale thing hit the barrier. The barrier shattered. Traffic Shield's eyes went wide. His quirk barriers could stop cars. They could stop villains. This thing broke it like it was thin glass. People screamed and ran in every direction. Phones were still recording, even as hands shook. Traffic Shield forced himself forward again. "Get the kid out," he yelled. A woman grabbed the child and pulled him behind her. She ran. The pale thing followed, smashing through a vendor stand. A metal cart flipped. Fruit rolled across the road. Traffic Shield chased, heart hammering. He threw barriers again and again, trying to slow it down. They kept breaking. The pale thing did not slow. It did not get tired. It did not care about pain. It did not care about traffic, walls, or other people. It only cared about the person who had seen its face, and the worst part was simple. In this world, almost everyone had a camera. Almost everyone could become the next target. A few minutes later, Shota Aizawa landed on a rooftop near the chaos. He did not arrive with a speech. He arrived with a plan already forming in his head. Aizawa's tired eyes took in the street below in quick pieces. People running. A shattered barrier sign glowing on the ground. A side hero stumbling backward, breathing hard. A pale figure moving fast, too fast, weaving through cars without slowing. Aizawa's scarf lifted as if it sensed danger. His first thought was calm and cold. That is not normal. He tapped his earpiece. This is a Razorhead. Who's on scene command? A voice answered, tense and clipped. Police are trying to set a perimeter. We have multiple injured. Unknown hostile. Aizawa watched the pale thing slam through a concrete wall like it was drywall. Dust burst out. The thing didn't stop. Aizawa narrowed his eyes. It's not attacking randomly, he said. It's chasing. He jumped down to a lower roof, then another, moving fast but controlled. He kept his eyes on the creature's body, not its face. He had trained himself to focus on details without getting distracted. The creature's head was angled down as it ran. Its hands kept trying to cover its face between steps, like it hated being seen, even while it hunted. Aizawa reached the street edge and grabbed a panicked civilian by the shoulder, pulling him back behind a parked bus. Don't run into the open, Aizawa said. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. Get down. Stay low. The man pointed with a shaking hand. It broke the hero's barrier. It's going to... Aizawa did not look where the man pointed. He looked at the path. Who is it chasing? Aizawa asked. The man blinked. A kid. A drone kid. He was filming. Aizawa's mind clicked. Trigger event. Viewer. Target. Everyone with footage, Aizawa said into his earpiece. Don't share it. Don't replay it. Get it off your screens. Now. A pause. Why? Because I think it's the trigger, Aizawa said. If I'm right, the image is the weapon. The pale thing surged forward again, and Aizawa finally saw the key problem. It was not using a quirk. At least, not one he could understand. It moved like a force of nature. Aizawa could erase quirks with his eyes, but this thing might not be a quirk user at all. Still, he could do one thing. He could control the people. Aizawa grabbed a megaphone from a police officer and spoke once, loud and direct. No cameras, he barked. Put your phones down. Turn your screens off. Some people listened right away. Some didn't. Some were too scared to think. Aizawa moved again, sprinting toward the chase line. He waved police forward. Set up evacuation lanes. Get people indoors. Shut the storefront screens down. Now! The creature hit a car, flipped it, and kept moving. Aizawa's scarf snapped out and wrapped around a street pole, pulling him forward in a sharp swing. He landed ahead of the creature's path, crouched low. The target, a small kid with a woman pulling him, was stumbling, crying, terrified. Aizawa's voice stayed steady. This way, he shouted. The woman looked up and saw him. She changed direction. The creature followed the change instantly, like it could feel the target's location in its bones. Aizawa set his jaw. It reacts faster than most speed types. He threw his capture scarf, not at the creature's face, but around its torso. The scarf tightened. For half a second, the creature's body jerked. Then it pulled. The scarf strained. Aizawa felt the force hit his arms like a truck. The scarf did not snap, but Aizawa was dragged forward across the pavement, boots scraping. His eyes widened, not with panic, but with respect and warning. Strength way above normal human level. The creature twisted, slammed its shoulder into the ground, and ripped free, leaving torn fabric and burns from friction. Aizawa rolled to avoid being trampled. He sprang up and changed tactics. He did not try to hold it. He tried to guide it. "Police!" he shouted. "Clear that block! Move the civilians inside the mall! Lock the doors!" As he spoke, he watched the woman and child reach the open service entrance Aizawa had pointed to. A policeman pulled them in and slammed the door shut. Aizawa's gut tightened. If the creature can break walls, that door won't hold. The creature reached the building and hit the wall beside the door. The concrete cracked. It hit again. The wall broke open. Dust billowed out. Screams echoed from inside. Aizawa gritted his teeth and moved in. He kept his eyes on the creature's chest and arms, refusing to look at the face. He saw something else that made his blood go cold. The creature was crying again while it attacked. Tears streamed down its cheeks as it tore through the wall. It looked like pain and anger at the same time. Aizawa spoke low, almost to himself. "This thing doesn't want to do this." Then his radio crackled. "Eraserhead, this is Hawks. I'm above you. I see it. Give me a clear instruction." Aizawa's relief was tiny but real. Hawks was fast. Hawks was smart. Hawks could evacuate people in seconds. "Get the target out," Aizawa said, "and get everyone's phones off. This is an information hazard." Hawks paused. "An information what?" "Don't ask," Aizawa said. "Just do it." Izuku Midoriya arrived at the edge of the disaster zone with his heart pounding. He had been on his way back from a small training session when he heard the alerts. He saw the smoke. He heard the screams. He saw pro-heroes running toward the danger instead of away. His legs moved before his thoughts finished. People are in trouble. Now, he landed on a rooftop and spotted Aizawa near a broken wall. Hawks streaked overhead, feathers flying like a storm. Deku's eyes tracked the pale thing for 1 second. It was terrifying, but not in the way a normal villain was terrifying. It was like watching a natural disaster shaped like a person. The creature moved with one purpose. It did not pose. It did not taunt. It did not try to win attention. It only chased. Deku forced himself to focus. What is it chasing? Why? A police officer yelled. "It's after that kid!" Deku's mind flashed back to the early reports. People filming. A drone. A face. Aizawa's earlier shout echoed in Deku's head. No cameras. Deku's stomach turned. "If the trigger is seeing its face," Deku whispered, "then the target is the viewer." He looked at the crowd. Too many phones. Too many screens. This was not a battle you could win by punching harder. This was a battle you could lose by pressing play. Deku jumped down and sprinted toward the building where the creature had broken in. Hawks swooped low, scooping civilians up and dumping them on a rooftop far away, then diving again. "Kid," Hawks called out, voice sharp. "You a student? Stay out of my airspace." "I can help," Deku shouted back. "We need to protect the target." Hawks's eyes narrowed. "Target?" Aizawa shouted from inside the broken wall. "Deku, don't look at it." "I won't!" Deku yelled. He clenched his fists. Green lightning flickered along his arms, then softened as he pulled the power back. He needed control, not maximum force. Deku darted inside the building through the broken wall. The air was dusty and thick. People were huddled behind counters and tables, crying and shaking. He found the woman and the kid near a back hallway, pressed against a metal door, trapped. The kid's face was wet with tears. "I didn't mean to," he sobbed. "I didn't know." Deku crouched to the kid's level. He kept his voice simple. "It's okay. Listen, we need to move. Do you understand?" The kid shook his head, terrified. "It's coming." A deep crash echoed from deeper inside the mall. The pale thing was breaking through more walls, following the child's location like a compass. Deku's brain worked fast. If it can always find the target, hiding is not enough. He looked at the metal service door, then at the hallway beyond. "Okay," Deku said, forcing calm. "We're going to run, and we're going to run smart." He stood and lifted the door with one controlled burst of strength. The hinges screamed. The door swung open. Hawks landed behind them, feathers out like a shield. "I've got him," Hawks said. Aizawa's voice came through Deku's earpiece. "Hawks, get the child far away. Underground if you can. No windows, no screens." Hawks frowned. "You're serious." Aizawa's voice was flat. "I'm always serious." Hawks grabbed the child and the woman, one in each arm. "Hold on," he said. He launched. Deku ran beside them, guarding the path, ready to smash obstacles and clear exits. The creature burst through a wall behind them with a scream that made Deku's skin prickle. He did not turn to look. He could feel it, like pressure in the air. Hawks shot upward through a broken ceiling panel, tearing into open air. Deku followed, leaping in a straight line to the next roof. Below them, the creature climbed the building's outside wall, fingers digging into concrete, pulling itself up faster than a person should be able to. Hawk swore under his breath. "It's climbing like it's nothing." Deku's eyes widened. That speed, that strength. Hawks flew harder, cutting sharp angles through the air, trying to lose it. It did not lose them. The creature reached the roof edge, then launched across a gap like a missile. It landed, slid, and kept going. Deku swallowed. "How do we stop it without hurting people?" Aizawa's voice came again, tight now. "We don't stop it by fighting it. We stop it by controlling the environment." Deku looked at the city around them. Bright screens, billboards, phones, windows. He realized the true shape of the threat. This creature did not need an army. All it needed was one more person to see its face. And in this city, that could happen at any moment. They got the kid to a basement level of a solid concrete building, deep enough that the sound of the city faded. Hawks landed in a dark storage room, panting. He set the kid down gently. "No phones," Hawks snapped at the small group of police who had followed. "No screens. Shut them off." A policeman hesitated. "We need comms." Hawks pointed at the kid. "This is the comm. This is the problem. Trust me." The kid looked up, shaking. "Is it going to kill me?" Deku's throat tightened. He wanted to say no. He wanted to promise. But he had seen the creature break walls like paper. He chose the truth that still gave hope. "We are going to keep you safe," Deku said. "We will not give up." The child clutched his shirt sleeve. "I didn't know it was like that." Deku nodded. "I know." Above them, the building trembled. A scream echoed down the stairwell. The creature had found them. Hawks's feathers shot out into the stairwell, forming a moving barrier like a thick curtain. "Okay," Hawks muttered. "Plan time." Aizawa's voice crackled. "We need a sealed transport unit, lightless, thick, multiple layers." Police responded. "We can get a special armored truck, but..." Another crash. The stairwell wall cracked. Hawks glanced at Deku. "You got any ideas that don't involve me dying?" Deku's mind raced. "If it's always locked onto the target, maybe we move the target somewhere the creature can't reach." His eyes darted to the heavy steel elevator shaft at the back of the room. Then he heard Aizawa's earlier words again. "Control the environment." Deku pointed. "That elevator shaft, it goes deep. If we can put him in the lowest level and seal it, we buy time." Hawks looked at the shaft, then back at the kid. "Deep and dark. I like it." The creature's fingers punched through the cracked wall at the top of the stairwell. Dust fell. Hawks's feathers tried to hold, but they bent and snapped under the pressure. Deku stepped forward. He took a breath. One quick burst, Deku told himself. Control. He rushed the stairwell and slammed his foot into the floor, not to break it apart, but to create a shockwave that pushed debris into the opening, blocking the creature's hands for a moment. It worked for 1 second. That 1 second was enough. Hawks grabbed the kid again and shot to the elevator shaft. Police yanked open the maintenance hatch. They lowered the kid down with a harness into the dark. The woman insisted on going too, refusing to leave him alone. Deku helped, hand steady even as his heart screamed at him to fight the creature head-on. The creature ripped free of the debris and charged again. Deku did not look at its face. He kept his eyes on its shoulders, its hands, the way it moved. It was too fast. It was too strong. But it still had to follow one rule. It had to reach the target. Deku threw himself in its path and punched the ground, creating a ridge of broken concrete to slow it. The creature hit the ridge and bounced, then immediately kept moving. It grabbed Deku's arm in passing. Pain shot up Deku's bones like fire. Deku's teeth clenched. It's holding back nothing. He twisted and broke free with a burst of strength, skidding backward. The creature did not chase Deku. It did not care about him. It sprinted for the elevator shaft. Hawk slammed the maintenance hatch shut and locked it with feathers wedged like metal bars. The creature hit the hatch. The hatch bent inward. Hawks swore again. "That won't hold." Aizawa's voice cut in, steady as a hammer. "It doesn't need to hold forever. It needs to hold until transport arrives." Deku heard sirens outside, heavy engines, a special unit. For a second, hope flickered. Then the creature screamed again and hit the hatch harder. The steel groaned. Deku's eyes narrowed. He realized something that made his stomach sink even deeper. Even if they saved this kid today. They did not know who else had seen the face. They did not know what was already uploaded. They did not know how many targets existed now. And they were all connected by one simple thing. A picture. The command center was set up fast at a nearby police station. Screens were covered in black cloth. Phones were forced into sealed pouches. Every person entering had to follow a new rule that made some of them laugh nervously. "No screens," a tired officer said, pointing. "If I catch you checking a text, I will personally throw your phone into a box and tape it shut." Aizawa stood in the middle of the room, scarf loose, eyes sharp. He looked more awake than usual, but it was not because he felt good. It was because he felt danger. Nezu sat on a chair with a small cup of tea. He looked calm, but his ears were angled forward. He was listening to every word. All Might stood with his hands on his hips, shoulders high, face serious. His presence still changed the air in the room. People felt safer just seeing him. Endeavor stood with arms crossed, looking annoyed at the world for being complicated. Hawks leaned against a wall, feathers twitching like he wanted to fly even in a closed room. Deku stood near the back, hands clenched, still feeling the ache in his arm. Aizawa spoke first. "We need a name for it. Not a villain name. A code name." A police officer said, "Unknown humanoid hostile." Aizawa shook his head. "Too long. And it makes people think it's a normal villain." Nezu sipped his tea. "Call it what it is in behavior," Nezu said. "A chase-type anomaly." Endeavor snorted. "Anomaly," he said, like it tasted bad. "It's a threat." Nezu nodded. "It is both." Aizawa pointed to a whiteboard. "We know 4 things." He wrote in quick, sharp strokes. It was passive when hidden. It became violent when its face was seen. It targets the viewer. It does not stop until it reaches the viewer. "All of that fits what we've observed," Hawks said, voice quieter now. "It ignored me. It ignored other people. It wanted the kid." All Might's brows lowered. "It is like a single-track mission," he said. "No distraction, no fear." Deku swallowed. "It was crying," Deku said, "even when it was attacking. Endeavor's eyes flicked to him. So, he said. A villain can cry too. Aizawa's eyes sharpened. Don't call it a villain, he said. Not yet. Endeavor's jaw tightened. He looked like he wanted to argue, but he held back because Aizawa wasn't wrong. Nezu set down his cup. We also have a bigger problem, Nezu said. Our society records everything. Hawks raised his hand a little. Okay, I'm going to say it, he said. This is going to be a nightmare for the internet. Aizawa nodded once. Yes. Nezu's small voice stayed calm. If one person shares that face again, they become a new target. If many share it, we create a chain reaction of targets across the city. All Might's fists clenched. We cannot allow that, he said. Aizawa looked at the officer in charge. We need cooperation from the Hero Public Safety Commission, Aizawa said. We need takedowns. We need signal control. We need public messaging. Endeavor scoffed. They will want to control it, he said. They will want to own it. Nezu did not deny it. Yes, he said, which means we must be careful. Deku felt a cold weight in his chest. He had seen how fast fear could spread. He looked at Aizawa. Sensei, he said, voice small but firm. Can your erasure stop it? Aizawa's eyes narrowed. I tried, he said. It didn't react. That means one of two things. It doesn't have a quirk. Or it doesn't use a quirk the way we understand. Endeavor's eyes hardened. Then we burn it down, he said. End it. All Might turned to him. Endeavor, he said, voice heavy. If it can be ended, we will. But not like that. Endeavor's flames flickered, low and angry. People are dying, he said. We don't have time for feelings. Deku flinched at the word dying. He thought of the kid. He thought of the screams. Nezu raised a paw. We will not solve this with one loud answer, Nezu said. We solve it with layers. Aizawa nodded. Protocol, Aizawa said. We create a protocol, and we enforce it. He wrote another list. No viewing the face, no recording, no replaying, no mirrors, no drones. Blackout transport. Evacuation first. Hawks let out a breath. So we're basically making no cameras the law, he said. Aizawa looked at him. Yes. Hawks rubbed his forehead. Cool. Everyone is going to love that. Nezu's ears twitched. They will hate it, he said. Which is why we need to explain it in very simple terms. All Might looked around the room. Then we do it, he said. We protect the people. Aizawa's phone buzzed in his pocket. He didn't pull it out. He didn't look at the screen. He answered with voice only. Aizawa listened. Then his face tightened. Transport is here, he said. But the creature is still active. The kid is still alive. Which means the chase is still on. Endeavor straightened. Then we move, he said. Hawks's feathers lifted, ready. Deku's heart kicked. He thought of the creature slamming the steel hatch. He thought of it reaching the kid. He whispered to himself, we can do this. We just have to be smart. Nezu looked at Deku for a moment. Eyes bright. And kind, Nezu said softly. Smart and kind. Aizawa didn't answer that part, but he didn't argue either. Outside, engines rumbled. Heavy boots ran. The air felt like a storm building. The armored transport unit was not a normal truck. It was a dark, thick vehicle with no windows. It had layered doors. It had a heavy inner chamber that could be sealed inside the larger chamber, like a box inside a box. Police called it mobile containment. Heroes called it a moving bunker. Endeavor looked at it and nodded once. Good, he said. Now we stop wasting time. The basement building shook again. The steel hatch at the elevator shaft finally tore open with a loud shriek. The pale creature's hands grabbed the edge and ripped, tearing metal like cardboard. It pulled itself down into the shaft, screaming, tears falling. Deku's stomach dropped. "It's going down after them!" Hawks shot forward. Feathers darted into the shaft, trying to jam the creature's arms and block its body. The feathers snapped and bent under the pressure. Hawks's eyes widened. "It's stronger than my feathers," he said. Aizawa stepped to the edge of the shaft and threw his scarf down like a line. "Deku," Aizawa said, voice hard. "Don't look. Follow my voice." Deku nodded. "Yes, sir." Endeavor's flames lit the shaft with orange light. He leaned over, trying to see the creature's body position without seeing the face. "Move!" Endeavor growled, and he blasted a controlled burst of fire downward, not to kill, but to push heat and pressure into the space. The creature screamed louder and climbed faster, like pain only made it more desperate. All Might arrived at the shaft, face grim. "Everyone clear," he called. Deku felt the air change. All Might's presence was like a wall rising. All Might braced, then struck the floor near the shaft with a heavy punch, not his full power, but enough to shake the structure and cause a section of concrete to collapse inward. The broken slab fell into the shaft, blocking the creature's path for a moment. Not for long, but for a moment. Hawks used that moment to dive. He shot down the shaft like an arrow, feathers swirling around him like armor. He reached the lower level where the kid and the woman were curled in darkness. Hawks grabbed them again. "Okay," he said, breath tight. "We're going up, no questions." The kid sobbed. "It's right there." Hawks didn't answer. He didn't have time. He launched upward with them, feathers pushing against the shaft walls to give him lift. Behind them, metal tore. Concrete cracked. The creature was coming. Deku moved along the upper edge, running beside the shaft opening as Hawks rose, ready to catch them. Hawks burst out of the opening and slammed onto the floor, still holding the kid and woman. Deku caught them and helped steady them. The kid's eyes were wide and glassy. Aizawa spoke low and fast. "Into the transport. Now." Police rushed the kid and the woman outside, heads down, screens off, a human shield around them. The creature's hands appeared at the shaft opening again. Hawks's feathers shot forward and formed a thick curtain, not to stop it, but to hide it. Hawks was shaking, not from fear, but from the strain of keeping that curtain up. "Do not look," Hawks warned, teeth clenched. "Seriously, do not look." Endeavor stepped to the side of the opening. Flames ready. "If it comes out, I blast it back," he said. Aizawa's eyes were cold. "Blast it back. But don't kill civilians," he said. "And don't set off any screens." Endeavor's jaw tightened at being told what to do, but he nodded once. "Fine." Outside, the transport doors opened with a heavy clunk. The kid was placed inside the inner chamber first, seated, belt strapped, head down. The woman sat beside him, holding him so tight her hand shook. A police officer sealed the inner door, then sealed the outer door. 2 layers, 3 locks. The air around the truck felt tense, like everyone was holding their breath. Deku stood near the open street, scanning for phones. People had gathered again at a distance. Some were filming anyway. "Stop!" Deku shouted. "Please, turn your phones off!" A man yelled back. "It's my right." Aizawa's voice cut over the loudspeaker again. "If you film this, you could kill someone," Aizawa said. "Put your phone down." Some people listened. Some didn't. Deku's fists clenched. Then a new scream tore through the building behind them. The pale creature exploded out of the shaft opening and vaulted into the open air. It landed on the street, cracking the pavement. It turned its head toward the truck. Deku did not look at its face. He looked at its shoulders, its arms, its legs. It ran, straight for the transport. Endeavor moved like a flame itself. He blasted a wide wall of fire in front of the creature, trying to force it to detour. The creature ran through the heat without slowing. Its skin blistered and tore. It did not care. Hawks's feathers slammed into its legs like a net. The creature ripped them apart. Best Genist arrived and threw thick cables and fabric lines across the street, weaving them into a trap like a giant knot. The creature hit the knot and got tangled for half a second. Best Genist's eyes narrowed. "Now," he said. He tightened every strand. The fabric strained. The creature screamed and pulled. The strand snapped. It stumbled, then surged forward again. Deku's heart hammered. "We can't stop it. We can only delay it." All Might stepped forward, jaw set. He took one breath. Then he moved. He struck the ground in front of the truck with a heavy smash, creating a deep crater and a broken ridge of concrete, like a sudden wall. The earth shook. People fell to their knees. The creature hit the ridge and skidded. All Might used that moment to grab the creature's torso from behind, careful not to touch the face. Careful not to look at it. All Might's arms locked like steel. The creature thrashed and screamed. All Might's muscles strained, his teeth clenched. Deku saw sweat bead on All Might's forehead. All Might was strong, but his time was limited. His body was not what it used to be. Still, for those few seconds, All Might held the creature back. "Drive!" Hawks shouted. The transport truck roared forward. The creature's head snapped toward it like a magnet. It kicked backward. All Might slid across the pavement, boots carving lines in the road. His grip started to slip. Endeavor blasted again, trying to push the creature sideways, away from the truck. Aizawa threw his scarf, wrapped it around the creature's arms, and anchored it to a street pole. It held for a heartbeat. Then the pole ripped out of the ground. Deku's breath caught. The creature's arm swung, and it struck All Might's shoulder with a wild, brutal motion. All Might grunted and staggered back, not knocked out, not broken, but forced to release. The creature bolted after the truck. Hawks launched and flew above it, shouting to the driver through comms. "Straight line! No stops! Head for the tunnel route!" Deku sprinted alongside the creature, using bursts of One for All to keep up, careful not to run ahead and be in its path if it decided to throw debris. He saw the tunnel entrance ahead, a road tunnel leading under the city. Dark. No screens. Less people. Aizawa's plan. The truck plunged into the tunnel. The creature followed, screaming, echoing off concrete. Deku followed too, heart in his throat, the air cold and damp. Inside the tunnel, police had already shut down the overhead signs and lights. Emergency lights glowed low. People had been cleared out. The truck sped deeper. The creature ran behind it, slamming hands against the road, leaving cracks, kicking up dust. Deku kept his distance, watching its body, listening to its breath and scream. Then something else happened. A figure stepped out from behind a tunnel pillar ahead, wearing a dark coat and a hood. Deku's eyes narrowed. A villain? Here? Now? The hooded figure held up a small device with a tiny screen. A screen. Deku's blood turned cold. Hawks's voice snapped in Deku's ear. "That's not ours! Take it out!" Deku lunged. "Stop!" The hooded figure grinned and clicked the device. The screen flashed for a fraction of a second, aimed toward the tunnel cameras that were supposed to be off. Deku didn't know what was on it. He didn't have to. The villain wanted one thing: to spread the face, to make more targets, to make the creature impossible to contain. Deku hit the villain with a clean, controlled Udar, one strong strike to the chest that knocked the device away and pinned the figure to the wall without crushing him. The device skittered across the tunnel floor. Deku stomped it, breaking it. The villain coughed and laughed. "Too late," he rasped. "Someone's already got a copy." Deku's stomach sank. Behind him, the creature screamed louder, like it sensed a new wave of danger in the world. Hawks dive-bombed the villain, feathers pinning him. "Who sent you?" Hawks snapped. The villain didn't answer. He just smiled through blood on his teeth. Deku turned back, heart pounding. The truck was still moving, still ahead. The creature was still chasing. The tunnel was dark, but not dark enough. There were still small lights, still reflective surfaces, and above all, there were still people in the world with cameras. Deku ran again, chasing the chase, feeling the truth settle in his bones. This was not one fight. This was a new kind of disaster. And it was only beginning. The tunnel air shook with the sound of that scream. Hawks kept the hooded villain pinned to the wall with feather tips pressed like knives. He did not cut. He just held. Hawks could feel the man's ribs moving as he wheezed. "Who sent you?" Hawks asked again. The man's grin stayed even as his eyes watered. "You think I'm the big problem?" he rasped. "It's already out." Hawks's jaw tightened. He didn't like lies. He liked patterns. And this felt like a pattern. "Out where?" Hawks said. The villain's gaze flicked past Hawks, toward the darkness where the armored truck's taillights had vanished. "Everywhere," he said. Hawks didn't let his face change. He did not give the man that satisfaction. He tapped his earpiece. "Tsukauchi, I have a live one. He tried to use a screen in the tunnel. He says there's a copy." Tsukauchi's voice came back steady, like it always did. "Copy of what?" Hawks swallowed. Even saying it felt risky. "The face," Hawks said. There was a pause on the line. Not because Tsukauchi didn't understand. Because he did. "Bring him in," Tsukauchi said. "And Hawks, keep everyone's phones off." Hawks looked at the villain's hands. No phone now. Just a broken device on the ground. But Hawks knew this wasn't about one device. This was about people. People who would click play. People who would share. People who would laugh at danger until it was too late. He lifted his feathers slightly and dragged the villain forward. "You're going to talk," Hawks said, voice flat. "You'll talk because, if you don't, a lot of innocent people are going to pay for your joke." The villain laughed, then coughed hard. "Not a joke," he wheezed. "It's a product." Hawks's eyes narrowed. "A product for who?" The man's grin widened. "For anyone who wants heroes to lose." A crash echoed deeper in the tunnel. The scream rose again. Hawks felt it in his teeth. He glanced down the long tunnel, where shadows moved fast along the road. The thing was still chasing the truck, like a storm with legs. Hawks forced himself to focus. One job at a time. He pushed the villain toward the exit. Police met him there with cuffs and a thick hood. "No eyes," Hawks told them. "No screens. If you need to show him anything, use audio only." One officer blinked. "We can do that?" "You can do anything," Hawks said, "if the other choice is letting this spread." He turned and ran back into the tunnel. Deku's lungs burned as he kept pace on the left side path, away from the center line. He stayed behind the armored truck, not too close to the screaming creature, not too far from the truck. It was a horrible line to hold. Every few seconds, the creature slammed a hand into the road and launched forward again. It was like it didn't even need to breathe. Deku could hear Hawks overhead for a moment. Then Hawks peeled away. Aizawa's voice came through Deku's earpiece. "Deku, report." "It's still chasing," Deku said. He tried to keep his voice calm. He didn't succeed. "It's not slowing down." "The truck is still moving." "Target status?" Aizawa asked. "The kid is inside," Deku said. "Sealed." Aizawa's silence was heavy. "Then it will keep going," Aizawa said. Deku's stomach tightened. "Forever?" "We don't know," Aizawa said, "but long enough to break anything it reaches." The tunnel lights were low now. The truck moved toward a side gate, where a thick steel door waited. Police sirens echoed behind them. Ahead, the door opened. The truck turned into a darker service tunnel. The creature followed. Deku followed too. He felt his fear change shape. It was not panic anymore. It was focus mixed with dread. They reached a reinforced chamber. Thick walls, no screens, no windows, just concrete and steel, like a bunker under the city. The truck drove inside. Then the outer door started to close behind it. The creature lunged. Deku moved before he thought. He pushed off the tunnel wall, shot forward, and slammed his fist into the ground right in front of the creature. He didn't use a full smash. He used a controlled hit, just enough to throw up a ridge of broken concrete and dust. The creature hit the ridge and stumbled for half a second. That half second mattered. The steel door shut with a deep boom. The creature slammed into it. The door shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Deku felt the vibration through his shoes. The creature screamed and hit the door again. The steel bent inward slightly. Deku stared. That door was made for disasters. Aizawa's voice came again, cold and clipped. "Get out of there." "I'm moving," Deku said. He backed away fast, not turning his head toward the creature's face. He watched its hands and shoulders, like Aizawa taught him. The creature kept hitting the door, screaming the same scream again and again. It did not stop. Deku left the tunnel and climbed into the brighter hallway, where the command team waited. He saw Endeavor's tall shape first, flames low and simmering like anger kept on a leash. All Might stood nearby, breathing hard, one hand pressed to his side. His face was calm, but Deku could tell he had pushed himself. Aizawa stood a little apart, scarf loose, eyes sharp. Nezu was there too, small and quiet, like he always was before he spoke. Deku's throat was tight. "We sealed it," Deku said, "but it's still trying." Aizawa nodded. "It will keep trying," he said. Endeavor took one step forward. "Then we crush it," he said. "We burn it. We bury it. We end it." All Might's eyes hardened. Endeavor. Endeavor didn't back down. "You felt it," Endeavor said. "That thing does not stop. You cannot talk to it. You cannot reason with it. People will die until you do what must be done." Deku looked at All Might. He wanted All Might to have an answer that made it simple. All Might didn't. He only had the line he lived by. "We do not choose the easy path," All Might said. "We choose the right one." Endeavor's flames flared a little. "Right doesn't matter if the city collapses," he said. Nezu lifted a paw. "Both of you are describing fear," Nezu said. His voice was soft, but it carried. "Fear can help us plan. Fear can also make us do things we regret." Aizawa's eyes shifted to Deku. "The villain in the tunnel," Aizawa said. "Hawk said he mentioned a copy." Deku's stomach sank again. "Yes," he said. "Someone tried to show a screen." Nezu's ears angled forward. "Then, we are not dealing with one event," Nezu said. "We are dealing with a spread." Aizawa nodded once. "Information hazard," he said again, like he was nailing the term to the wall. "The image is the trigger." Deku whispered without meaning to. "So, a picture can kill someone." All Might looked down for a second. Then he looked up again, like he was lifting the weight on purpose. "Then we will protect people from the picture," he said. Endeavor's mouth twisted. "Good luck," he muttered. The next day, the city looked the same from far away. Cars moved, trains ran, stores opened. Up close, everything felt different. There were new signs everywhere. No cameras in this area. Screens off during evacuation. Do not share unverified footage. Some signs were official, printed clean and sharp. Some were handwritten and taped to walls by scared shop owners. A man at a coffee stand held up a piece of tape and said, "You want sugar or not?" Then frowned at the phone in the customer's hand. "Actually, no. Put that away." People laughed nervously. People argued. People complied. People didn't. And the heroes watched, because they had to. Hawk stood on the roof of the Hero Public Safety Commission building, staring out at the city like it was a puzzle with missing pieces. Behind him, a commission officer walked up with a folder held tight under his arm. "Hawks," the officer said. "You look tired." Hawks didn't turn. "I am tired," Hawks said. "I'm also busy." The officer cleared his throat. "The commission wants options. The public wants answers. The top heroes want a plan." Hawks finally looked over his shoulder. "Here's the plan," Hawks said. "Stop people from sharing the face." The officer's lips tightened. "That is not a plan. That is a wish." Hawks's eyes cooled. "Then you come up with one," he said. "Because I'm not going to pretend this is like a normal villain." The officer opened the folder and slid out a sheet. "We are considering controlled use," he said carefully. Hawks felt his stomach twist. "Controlled use of what?" The officer didn't say the word. He didn't have to. Hawks stared at him. "No," Hawks said. "Absolutely not." The officer kept his voice calm, like he was talking about budgets, not lives. "If it hunts the viewer, and we choose the viewer, then we can point it at a target. Imagine using it against All for One's network." Hawks's feathers twitched, sharp at the edges. "And the viewer dies," Hawks said. "That's part of your control." The officer hesitated, then said it anyway. "We have criminals on death row. We have villains who would volunteer for a deal." Hawks leaned closer. "You don't deal with a disaster by feeding it people," Hawks said. "That's not hero work. That's something else." The officer's eyes hardened. "Hero work is keeping society stable," he said. "If you can end this threat by sacrificing one to save thousands," Hawks cut him off. "You end it by making heroes into executioners?" he said. "You think the public will trust us more after that?" The officer didn't blink. "They trust results." Hawks's voice dropped low. "They trust hope," he said. "And hope dies the moment people realize we use monsters like tools." The officer sighed, like Hawks was being difficult. "We will discuss this again," he said. Hawks watched him leave. Then Hawks stared back at the city and whispered, "Please don't make me choose between dirty and worse." At UA, the students felt the change in a different way. They walked into class and saw a big box at the door. A sign on it said, "Phone pouch drop." Present Mike stood beside it with his arms crossed and a dramatic frown. "All right, listeners," he announced. "New school rule. Drop your phones in the pouches. No sneaky selfies. No little, just checking." A student groaned. "But I use it to take notes." Present Mike leaned closer, eyes wide. "You can take notes on paper," he said, as if paper was a strange new idea. Someone else muttered, "This is like the Stone Age." Aizawa appeared behind Present Mike like a shadow. He didn't shout, he didn't joke, he just stared at the group. The complaint stopped. Aizawa walked into the classroom and set down a stack of plain black cloth strips. "This is blindfold training," Aizawa said. Kirishima blinked. "Sensei, are we fighting blind?" "Rescuing blind," Aizawa corrected. "This is not a game. You will learn to move by sound and team calls." Jiro raised a hand. "That's my thing," she said, half serious. Aizawa nodded. "Then you will be useful," he said. Deku sat at his desk, hands folded, trying to stay calm. His mind kept going back to the scream behind that steel door. He kept seeing the creature's hands ripping through barriers. He kept thinking about the kid's face, wet with tears, asking if he would die. Deku swallowed. He heard small footsteps in the hallway outside. Eri peeked around the doorway, with her little horn visible over her bangs. She held a stuffed toy tight. Aizawa's posture changed right away. Not soft, but careful. Protective. Eri's eyes moved across the room and landed on the black blindfolds. "What are those?" she asked in a small voice. Present Mike tried to smile. It's training stuff," he said. "Like a cool ninja thing." Eri didn't look convinced. Deku leaned forward a little and spoke gently. "It's to help people," Deku said. "So we don't make a bad problem worse." Eri hugged her toy tighter. "Bad problem?" Aizawa's voice was quiet. "You don't need to worry about that," he said to her. "Go back to your room." Eri nodded quickly and backed away. Deku watched her go, and a strange thought hit him. What if the solution is also a child? He hated that thought. He hated it so much that he shoved it down. That evening, Nezu called a private meeting. Not the full team. Just the people he trusted to talk without shouting. Aizawa, All Might, Hawks, Tsukauchi, Recovery Girl, and Deku, because he had been closest to the target. Nezu sat on a desk like it was normal for a principal to sit on a desk. "We have 2 wars, Nezu said. Hawks sighed. "Let me guess. One is the screaming monster. One is the internet." Nezu nodded. "Yes," he said. "And both wars are linked." Tsukauchi placed a folder on the table. "We traced initial shares," he said. "We got some takedowns. But not all. Some copies are being sold through private networks." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "The villain in the tunnel," he said. "Did he talk?" Tsukauchi nodded. "Not much," he said, "but enough. He said the file is a product. People pay to get it." All Might's fists tightened. "Pay," he said, disgusted. "To spread death." Hawks leaned back. "Welcome to the worst part of modern life," he said. Nezu's eyes moved to Deku. "Izuku," Nezu said. "Tell me about the creature when it is not active." Deku hesitated. "It hid," Deku said. "It tried to cover its face. It cried. It didn't attack until the face was seen." Aizawa nodded. "Same observation," he said. Nezu folded his paws. "Then it has a rule," Nezu said. "A very strict one, which means if we can break the rule's connection, we may calm it." Hawks frowned. "Break the connection how?" Nezu looked toward Aizawa, then toward the hallway beyond the door, as if he was making sure it was shut. "A memory," Nezu said simply. Everyone went quiet. Deku felt his stomach drop again. All Might's voice was careful. "Nezu," he said, "you are not suggesting." "I am suggesting we consider every tool," Nezu said. "But we must be honest about the cost." Recovery Girl's eyes sharpened. "You're talking about Eri," she said. Aizawa's scarf shifted, like it didn't like the word. "No," Aizawa said flatly. "Absolutely not." Nezu did not argue. "I expected that answer," Nezu said, "but I need you to hear the full idea before you decide." Aizawa stared at Nezu like a warning. Nezu continued anyway, gentle but firm. "If the creature targets the viewer, because the viewer saw its face, then that moment is the link," Nezu said. "Eri's quirk can rewind a person's body to an earlier state." Deku's heart pounded. "You mean, rewind the kid to before he saw it?" "That is the theory," Nezu said. Hawks rubbed his eyes. "That sounds like science fiction," he muttered. Recovery Girl leaned forward. "Eri's quirk is real," she said, "but it's dangerous." "And she's still learning control." Aizawa's voice stayed cold. "She is a child," he said. "She is not a tool." All Might nodded hard. "Agreed." Nezu's ears dipped slightly. "I agree too," Nezu said. which is why I did not bring her here. I am asking if we can find another way to remove the link. A quirk, a device, anything." Tsukauchi shook his head. "We don't have memory erasers in our legal toolbox," he said. Hawks frowned. "The commission will push for Eri," he said quietly. Aizawa's eyes flashed. "They won't get her," he said. Nezu's eyes softened just a little. "Then our job is harder," Nezu said, "but still possible." Deku spoke, voice tight. "If we can't break the link," he said, "then the creature will keep trying forever. That means the kid will have to live in a bunker forever." All Might's face tightened in pain. Nobody had a nice answer. Nezu took a breath. "We will not decide tonight," he said, "but we must act fast." Hawks looked up. "I can act fast," he said. "Give me permission to hunt the cellars." Tsukauchi nodded. "You have it," he said, "but do it carefully. If you show the image to yourself by mistake." Hawks lifted a hand. "I know," Hawks said. "No screens, no surprises, no mistakes." Aizawa's voice was low. "There will be mistakes," he said, "because people are people." Hawks's mouth pulled tight. "Then I'll be the one who makes fewer," he said. Nezu nodded. "Then go," he said. "Find the source." Hawks stood and headed for the door. As he left, Deku looked down at his hands and whispered in his own head. "We're fighting a monster, and also fighting ourselves." In a dark room far from UA, another meeting happened. All for One sat in a chair like a king who didn't need a throne. The lights were low. The air smelled like old stone and clean metal. A screen sat on a table in front of him. The screen was off. A man in a mask stood beside it, tense, waiting for instructions. "All for One," the man said, careful with every word. "Our people say the creature hunts anyone who sees its face." All for One's voice was calm, almost amused. "Yes," he said. "A beautiful rule." The masked man swallowed. "Beautiful." All for One tilted his head slightly. "Most powers are messy," he said. "This one is simple. That makes it easy to use." The masked man glanced at the dark screen. "We have a file," he said, "but no one will open it." All for One chuckled softly. "Good," he said. "Then you are not stupid." He leaned forward a little. "You will not view it," All for One said. "Not directly, not accidentally, not even for 1 second." The masked man nodded quickly. "All you need," All for One continued, "is a viewer you can afford to lose." The masked man's shoulders stiffened. "A sacrifice," he said. All for One's smile was in his voice. "A lever," he corrected. "A single pull that moves a whole city." He tapped the table. "And heroes," he said, "love cities." The masked man hesitated. "Shigaraki wants to cause chaos," he said. "He wants the creature unleashed in the streets again." All for One's voice softened, like a teacher correcting a student. "Chaos is useful," he said, "but control is better." The masked man nodded slowly. All for One leaned back. "Find me the right moment," he said. "Not the loud moment. The right moment." He paused. "Also," he added, "learn its name." The masked man blinked. "Name?" All for One's tone was almost playful. "Everything from another world comes with a label," he said. "A story, a file, a code. Find it." He tapped the dark screen again. "And keep that screen dark," he said, "unless you want to be chased." The masked man bowed his head. "Understood." All for One smiled. In his mind, he could already see it. Heroes running in the dark, afraid to look, afraid to share, afraid to breathe wrong. Fear made people easy to guide. 2 days later, Hawks got his first real lead. He stood in a plain jacket and cap on a rooftop near the docks, looking like a normal guy who belonged nowhere special. His feathers were hidden under his clothes, tucked close so nobody would notice. Below, a warehouse door slid open. A man walked out with a small case in his hand. Hawks's eyes narrowed. "That's the delivery." Tsukauchi's voice came in low through Hawks's earpiece. "Confirm." Hawks watched the man's body language. Nervous, quick steps, looking around. "Confirm," Hawks said. A second person approached. This one wore a hoodie, hands in pockets. Too calm. Hawks's feathers tingled. Too calm means confident. The two met near a parked van. They didn't shake hands. They didn't talk much. The case changed hands. Hawks whispered, "Now." Police moved in from both sides. The buyer tried to run. Hawks dropped from the roof like a falling arrow and landed in front of him. His wings snapped out, wide, blocking the path. The buyer skidded to a stop, eyes wide. "Nope," the buyer said, and reached into his pocket. Hawks's feathers shot out and pinned the buyer's hands to his sides. "Don't," Hawks said, voice low. The buyer smiled like he'd been waiting for this. "You guys still don't get it," he said. Hawks felt his stomach drop a fraction. "Get what?" The buyer's eyes flicked toward the warehouse. Then Hawks heard it. A faint, ugly sound. Not crying. Not yet. A scream starting far away. Hawks spun toward the warehouse door. "Move!" he shouted into the comm. Police rushed. Hawks launched forward. The warehouse door slammed shut from the inside. Hawks hit it, feathers digging into the metal to pry it open. Inside, something heavy crashed. Then the scream rose louder. Hawks's blood went cold. They didn't just sell the file, they played it. The door finally ripped open. Hawks didn't rush in blindly. He threw feathers first, sending them in like scouts, feeling the air, sensing movement. Inside, the warehouse was lit by dim ceiling lights. A projector sat on a table. The screen on the wall was blank now. A man lay on the floor near it, holding his face, shaking. And in the far corner, pressed into shadow, was a pale shape. It was covering its face, crying softly. Hawks's heart pounded. "It's here?" "How?" A loud crack echoed behind him. Hawks whipped around. The buyer he'd pinned had slipped free somehow and was sprinting toward the exit. Hawks cursed and sent feathers after him. Then he realized the man on the floor by the projector was screaming, not from pain, but from terror. "I saw it," the man shouted. "I saw it! I saw it!" Hawks froze for half a second, because now he understood. They had used the file on a viewer. That viewer was now a target, and the creature would hunt him. Hawks's feathers snapped back from the runner. He didn't chase the escapee. He couldn't. He grabbed the man on the floor by the collar and hauled him up. "Listen," Hawks said. "If you run into public streets, people die. Do you understand?" The man sobbed. "It's coming!" Hawks looked toward the pale shape. It was still crying. But the crying was changing. The body was tensing. The hands covering the face were shaking. Hawks felt the air tighten. "Tsukauchi," Hawks said into comm, voice sharp. "We've got a trigger event. They played the file. One viewer is active." Tsukauchi's reply came instantly. "Get him into isolation. Underground. No people." Hawks stared at the shaking man, then at the warehouse exits, then at the city beyond. Underground. No people. Hawks took a breath. "Okay," he said. "You're coming with me." The man tried to pull away. Hawks didn't let him. He lifted the man and launched through the ceiling skylight. Bursting into the air. Behind them, the scream exploded to full volume. The pale creature went active, and the hunt began again. The next hours were chaos without fire, not because nothing broke, because everything broke quietly and fast. Hawks flew the viewer toward an empty train tunnel section under repair, cleared ahead by police. He kept moving because stopping meant being caught. Behind him, the creature tore through obstacles like they were paper. It climbed. It leaped. It smashed through walls between streets without caring what was inside those walls. Hawks did not let it reach crowded areas. He kept pulling it away from the city center. And he prayed nobody filmed it. At the same time, UA went into emergency mode. Aizawa stood in the hallway outside Aries' room, arms crossed. He looked like a guard, because he was. All Might walked up beside him. "They're pushing," All Might said quietly. Aizawa didn't need to ask who. "The Commission," Aizawa said. All Might nodded. "They want Eri," he said. "They think her power can erase the link for viewers." Aizawa's voice went hard. "No," he said. All Might's shoulders sagged slightly. "I agree," he said. "But the pressure is growing. If this spreads, more targets appear. More deaths." Aizawa stared at the floor for a second, like he was forcing himself to stay calm. "Eri is not their answer," he said. "She is not their emergency button." All Might looked toward the closed door. "What if she chooses?" he asked. Aizawa's eyes snapped up. "She is a child who was hurt by adults using her," he said. "She doesn't get asked to save the world to make adults feel better." All Might said nothing. He couldn't argue with that. Aizawa exhaled slowly. "We will find another way," he said. All Might nodded, but his face showed what he feared. Sometimes there wasn't another way. By the time night fell, Hawks had the viewer locked in the deepest part of an empty tunnel station behind steel shutters. Police had cleared the surrounding area. No screens, no lights except emergency strips. Hawks leaned against a wall, breathing hard. His feathers were scuffed. His arms shook. The viewer sat on the ground, sobbing, hands over his face. "Why me?" the man whispered. Hawks didn't have a gentle answer. "Because you watched," Hawks said. The man flinched like he'd been slapped. Then a scream rolled down the tunnel like thunder. Hawks pushed off the wall and moved forward. He couldn't stop it by fighting. He could only slow it. The pale creature appeared at the tunnel entrance, sprinting in, head low, tears flying. Hawks threw a curtain of feathers up like a wall. The creature hit the feathers and tore through them. Hawks's teeth clenched. It's not even slowing. He tried again, this time sending feathers to the ceiling supports, yanking down loose metal beams to create a partial collapse ahead of the creature. The creature ran through the falling mess. It stumbled once, then kept going. Hawks felt something cold inside him. If it reaches the viewer, it ends. If it doesn't, it never ends. He hated that those were the choices. He pressed his earpiece. "Aizawa," Hawks said. "I'm holding it in the tunnel, but I can't hold forever." Aizawa's voice came back, tense. "Understood," he said. "We're moving a containment unit." Hawks laughed once, bitter. "Good luck," he said. Then he heard another voice on the line. "Deku." "We're coming," Deku said. "We have a plan to save him." Hawks's throat tightened. "Kid," Hawks said, "don't promise things you can't do." Deku didn't sound naive. He sounded stubborn. "We'll do it anyway," Deku said. Hawks didn't reply. He just looked down the tunnel at the screaming creature and thought, "Please be right." Deku arrived with Aizawa, Nezu, Tsukochi, and a small support team. They wore black cloth strips as blindfolds, but not fully down. They kept them ready to pull if needed. They brought thick blackout tarps. They brought a rolling shield cart with a curved, matte surface meant to block reflections. They brought a special inner box, like the one from before. And they brought one more thing, a small kit with a syringe. Recovery Girl held it with her wrinkled hand steady. "This is not a sleeping drug," she said. "It's a calming compound. It works better if the target is calm." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "It won't work in rage," he said. Recovery girl nodded. "I know," she said. Nezu looked at the tunnel like he was reading it. "Then we don't aim at the creature," Nezu said. "We aim at the situation." Deku swallowed. "We have to keep it from seeing anyone," Deku said. Aizawa's voice was low. "It's not about what it sees," he said. "It's about what was seen." Deku nodded. He understood. That was the horror of it. They moved quietly into the tunnel. The scream hit them like a wall. The creature was close now, tearing through the last feather curtain Hawks had left. Hawks hovered above the tracks, exhausted, but still moving. "Viewers behind that shutter," Hawks said, pointing with a feather. "Creatures coming straight." Aizawa nodded once. "Deku," he said. "You do rescue. I do control. Do not improvise." Deku's mouth tightened. "Yes, sir," he said. They rolled the mat shield cart forward, creating a moving blind spot so nobody would accidentally see the creature's face if it lifted its head. Behind the cart, Deku and 2 officers pulled the shutter open just enough to grab the viewer. The man tried to scramble away. Deku grabbed him and lifted him easily. "It's coming!" the man screamed. "I know," Deku said. "Close your eyes. Don't look." "It doesn't matter," the man sobbed. Deku didn't disagree. He just moved. They pushed the viewer into the inner box and slammed the door. Then they rolled the box onto a track cart and shoved it backward fast. The creature hit the shield cart. The cart slammed back, wheels skidding. The mat surface cracked. Deku felt his heart jump. Aizawa threw his scarf, hooking it around the cart and anchoring it to a support column, trying to keep the cart in place. Hawks added feathers, bracing the sides, creating layers. The creature screamed and hit again. The cart split further. Aizawa's eyes narrowed with anger. Not at the creature, at the fact that this was even happening. "Now," Nezu said. A support worker fired a blackout tarp launcher. The tarp shot forward like a net and draped over the creature's upper body and head. For a second, the screaming changed. It sounded muffled. The creature clawed at the tarp. Deku moved fast, grabbing a second tarp and throwing it over the first, then a third, building layers like blankets. They weren't trying to trap it forever. They were trying to buy seconds. Aizawa pulled his blindfold down fully now. "Nobody looks," he ordered. Deku pulled his down too. They moved by sound. Hawks called directions. "Left! 2 steps! It's pulling the tarp!" Nezu's small voice stayed calm. "Keep the tarps tight," he said. "Do not let it expose itself." The creature thrashed. The tarps tore. Hands burst out. Deku felt the air shift and knew the creature was about to break free. Aizawa barked, "Move the box!" The inner box cart rolled faster down the tunnel, away from public exits. The creature lunged again, following the box even though it couldn't see it. Didn't need to see. It knew. Then something happened that none of them expected. The creature's scream stuttered. Not stopped. Just stuttered. Like it was confused for one breath. Deku's blindfold was down. He couldn't see why, but he could feel the change. Nezu spoke softly. "Interesting," he said. Aizawa's head turned slightly. "What?" Nezu's tone stayed careful. For a moment, Nezu said, it hesitated, as if the link weakened when the viewer was sealed deeper. Aizawa's mind moved fast. "Distance," he said, "or isolation?" Nezu didn't answer yet, because the creature screamed again and tore free of the last tarp. The chase resumed. Deku's teeth clenched behind the blindfold. "We're not solving it. We're only moving it around." They reached the deeper containment bay. The box with the viewer rolled into a thick chamber with layered doors. Those doors shut behind it. Then the creature hit the final barrier, an inner gate made of heavy steel and thick foam panels meant to absorb impact. It slammed into it again and again. Then, slowly, the screaming lowered. Not ended. Lowered. It was still active, but the sound was less sharp, like a storm moving farther away. Deku pulled his blindfold up carefully and looked at Aizawa's face. Aizawa looked tired, angry, focused. "We can hold it here," Aizawa said. "For how long?" Deku asked. Aizawa didn't lie. "Until something changes," he said. Nezu's voice was quiet behind them. "And something will change," Nezu said, "because humans will keep touching the button called curiosity." The next week was a war of small things, not just tunnels and steel doors. Small things like phones. Small things like rumors. Small things like a kid in class whispering, "I heard there's a monster that kills you if you look at it." At UA, the phone pouch box became normal. Students started carrying tape in their pockets like it was part of their uniform. President Mike tried to joke about it on the morning announcements. "Welcome to another fabulous day at UA, where the biggest villain is a front-facing camera." Aizawa's stare from the back of the room ended the joke fast. Deku found himself counting screens when he walked outside. A billboard, a store TV, a bus stop display. Even reflections in windows started to feel dangerous. He hated that he thought that way now. He also knew it kept people alive. Hawks and Tsukauchi ran raids on sellers. They shut down networks. They seized devices. Every time, Hawks felt like he was trying to scoop water out of a sinking boat with his hands. And every time, the Commission pushed harder. "Use it," they said. "Weaponize it," they said. "Sacrifice one to save many," they said. All Might refused, again and again. Aizawa refused with him. Deku watched these arguments and felt something new inside him. Not fear, not anger. A stubborn, bright refusal to let the world get uglier just because it was scared. Then the biggest change came from the place nobody expected. A file name. One night, Hawks returned from a raid and tossed a sealed drive onto Nezu's desk. "It was encrypted," Hawks said. "We didn't open it. Don't worry, we're not idiots." Nezu nodded. "Good," he said. He connected the drive to a special machine designed for one purpose, sorting data without displaying images. It scanned the file structure and printed text only. Nezu read the printed line. SCP-096. Nezu's eyes widened slightly. Aizawa leaned in. "What is that?" he asked. Nezu's voice was quiet. "A label," he said. "A code from another world." Deku felt his skin prickle. "So it's not from here," he said. Nezu nodded. "We already knew that," he said. "But now we have proof." Hawks frowned. "SCP?" he said. "What does it mean?" Nezu shook his head. "Not sure yet," he said. "But it suggests there is more. A system, a file, a place where this creature came from." Aizawa's gaze hardened. "And someone out there knows the system," he said. Nezu looked up. "Yes," he said. "Which means our enemy may learn more than we do." Deku's hands clenched. "Then we have to learn fast," he said. Nezu nodded. "Yes," he said. "Before the next trigger." And as if the world was listening, the next trigger came. It started with a blackout. A short one, only 30 seconds in one part of the containment facility. Just long enough for a door lock to flicker. Just long enough for an alarm to chirp and then cut out. Just long enough for a small maintenance panel to slide loose. A guard saw the warning light and frowned. "Power glitch," he muttered. "Again?" He turned his flashlight toward the panel. The panel had been tampered with. He reached out. Then the panel moved on its own. Something long and pale slipped through like a snake. The guard froze. A hand, not attacking him, just feeling the air. Then the rest of the pale body followed, crawling low, moving fast, but careful. The guard's mouth went dry. He wanted to shout. He didn't. He remembered the rule hammered into everyone's head. No cameras, no staring, no sudden moves. He stepped back slowly. The pale creature did not charge him. It didn't scream. It kept its face covered with both hands. It moved past him like a frightened animal. It was escaping, not hunting. The guard whispered into his radio, voice shaking. "Containment breach," he said. "It's out." A voice snapped back. "Is it active?" The guard swallowed. "No," he said. "It's crying. Quiet." The reply came sharp. "Do not lose eyes on it." The guard's eyes widened. "I can't look at it," he whispered. He meant it as a joke. It wasn't funny. Aizawa got the call first. He was sitting outside Eri's room again, because he had been doing that more often now. Not because she asked, because it made her feel safe. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He answered without looking at the screen. He listened. Then his posture changed. All Might, who was down the hall, saw it instantly and walked over. "What is it?" All Might asked. Aizawa's voice was flat. "It's out," he said. "Docile state. It's running." All Might's eyes hardened. "Running where?" Aizawa's jaw tightened. "Away," he said, "which means it wants something." All Might nodded once. "Privacy," he said. Aizawa didn't answer, but his eyes said yes. He turned and started walking fast. All Might followed. Deku met them at the exit, already in motion. He had heard the alert, too. "Sensei," Deku said, breath quick. "Is it active?" Aizawa shook his head. "Not yet," he said. "We keep it that way." Hawks dropped from the sky into the courtyard, landing in a crouch. "I swear," Hawks said, "if this is another week of no sleep, no screens, I'm quitting." Aizawa stared at him. Hawks lifted both hands. "Joke," Hawks said. "Bad joke. I'm here." Nezu rolled up in a small cart, calm as ever. "We have a direction," Nezu said. "It is heading away from the city." "Good," All Might said. Endeavor arrived a second later, eyes burning with anger. "You let it out," Endeavor snapped at the facility staff. Aizawa's eyes went cold. "Not now," he said. Endeavor's flames flickered. "If it leaves containment," Endeavor said, "I will end it." All Might's voice was heavy. "You will not," he said. Endeavor glared, but he didn't push. Not yet. Aizawa looked at Deku. "We do this like a rescue," he said. "Not a battle." Deku nodded. "Yes," he said. Hawks tilted his head. "Rescue who?" he asked. Aizawa didn't hesitate. "Everyone," he said, "including it." Hawks blinked, then nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "That's the hardest kind. Let's go." They found it near the edge of the industrial district. It moved along back roads, under bridges, through shadows. Always low. Always covering its face. Always crying softly, like a broken machine that only knew one sound. Deku watched from behind a blackout tarp stretched between two police vehicles. He kept his eyes on the creature's feet and hands. He did not let his gaze rise. It didn't look like a villain. It looked like something trying to hide from the world. Deku felt his chest ache. Hawks hovered above, wings wide, scanning ahead to keep people away. "I've got hikers on the North Trail," Hawks said into comm. "I'm redirecting them." Aizawa's voice came back. "No phones," Aizawa said. "No pictures. No, my friend needs to see this." Hawks sighed. "Yeah," he said. "I'm basically the fun police now." Aizawa didn't laugh. Nezu's voice came in. "If it reaches the mountains," Nezu said, "we can guide it toward caves. Less people. Less screens." Endeavor snorted. "Or we corner it and burn it," he said. All Might's voice came calm but sharp. "We guide it," he repeated. Endeavor's flames flared, but he stayed back. They moved as a team, but in a strange way. not attacking, herding. Hawks would fly ahead and clear roads. Police would block side streets with matte panels to prevent reflections. Best Jeanist arrived with heavy cloth rolls on a truck, turning them into moving curtains. Mei Hatsume showed up too somehow, bouncing on her toes with a helmet on her head, like it was the best day of her life. "I heard we need anti-camera stuff," Mai shouted. "I made a thing. It's a thing that shoots a cloth thing." Aizawa stared at her. "Why are you here?" Mei grinned. "Because problems are fun," she said. Aizawa's stare deepened. Mei's grin faded slightly. "Okay," she said. "Problems are serious, but also fun." Deku almost smiled for 1 second. Then the creature turned its head slightly, as if it heard Mei's voice, and Deku's smile died. "Quiet," Aizawa ordered. Mei nodded fast and put a finger to her lips. They guided the creature out of the city onto a road that led toward wooded hills. The sun started to set. That was good. Darkness helped. Deku heard a low voice beside him. "Tokoyami." Tokoyami had arrived without much sound, like he always did. Dark shadow curled around his shoulders like a living cloak. "The night is coming," Tokoyami said calmly. "That will aid us." Aizawa nodded. "You're here for darkness control," he said. Tokoyami bowed his head slightly. "Yes," he said. Deku felt relief. Darkness meant fewer accidental views. It meant more control. It also meant villains could hide. And in the back of Deku's mind, one thought kept tapping like a warning. Someone let it out on purpose. Shigaraki watched the live report feed from a safe house with no windows. He didn't watch the face file. Wasn't stupid. He watched the map. A moving dot. A moving problem. His lips pulled into a grin. "Look at them," Shigaraki said. "They're walking it like a dog." A villain beside him shifted nervously. "Boss," the man said. "If we mess up and see the face..." Shigaraki's eyes snapped to him. "Then you die," Shigaraki said simply. "So don't." The man swallowed hard. Shigaraki scratched at his neck, skin flaking under his fingers. "Heroes always want to save everything," he muttered. "Even the ugly stuff." A voice on a speaker crackled. Calm, old, smiling without smiling. "All for one," Shigaraki said, tone annoyed. "Tamura," the voice replied. "Do not waste this." Shigaraki rolled his eyes. "I'm not," he said. "I'm going to make them panic." All for One's voice stayed smooth. "Panic is easy," he said. "I want a tool." Shigaraki snorted. "It is a tool," he said. "No," the voice corrected. "It is a lever, and you must pull it at the right time." Shigaraki's fingers stopped scratching for a second. "Fine," he said. "What's the right time?" "When they think they have it under control," All for One said. "When they feel safe enough to relax." Shigaraki smiled wider. "So, soon." The speaker went silent. Shigaraki looked at his team. "We move," he said. "We don't show our faces. We don't watch anything. We don't get heroic." A villain raised a hand. "What are we taking?" Shigaraki's eyes gleamed. "A piece," he said. "A file. A photo. Anything that proves we can own the fear." He leaned forward. "And if someone has to look," he added softly, "we pick someone we won't miss." The hills were quiet. Trees rustled in the wind. The road narrowed. The city lights faded behind them. The creature moved faster now, like it could feel safety ahead. It slipped off the road into the brush and headed for a darker line between rocks. A cave opening. Deku's chest tightened. "It's going into the cave," he whispered. Aizawa nodded. "Let it," he said. "We don't corner it. We guide it." Tokoyami stepped forward. Dark shadow stretched, making the area around the cave mouth darker, like someone dimmed the world. The creature slowed. Its crying softened. It kept its face covered and crawled inside the cave, deeper into darkness. Deku felt a strange relief. If it stayed here, away from people, that was good. Then Hawks' voice came sharp in Deku's earpiece. "Movement on the ridge," Hawks said. "Not hikers, not police." Deku's stomach dropped. "Villains," Hawks said. Aizawa's voice became ice. "Positions," he said. Best Genist's calm voice joined. "I will secure the perimeter," he said. Endeavor's flames flared. "Finally," he growled. All Might's voice cut in, heavy. "No reckless blasts," he warned. "Not here." Endeavor didn't answer. Deku moved quietly between trees, staying low. He saw them. Dark shapes on the ridgeline, moving in a line, careful, trained. One of them carried a long tube, a projector. Deku's blood went cold. "They're trying to show the face," Deku whispered. Aizawa's voice snapped. "Nobody looks," he said. "If you see a screen, you close your eyes." Deku's hands clenched. "If they project it on a rock wall, people could see it by accident," Deku said. "Then we stop them before they turn it on," Aizawa said. Hawks dove from above, feathers slicing through the air toward the villain's hands. A villain rolled and threw up a matte panel like a shield. Hawks' feathers hit the panel and stuck. "Prepared," Hawks muttered. Best Genist's cable snapped out, wrapping around the projector tube, yanking it sideways. The villain holding it stumbled. Endeavor blasted a thin line of flame, not at the villain, but at the projector's power pack. The pack melted. The projector dropped, smoking. Deku exhaled. Then another villain lifted a small device, not a projector, a phone. Deku felt rage flare inside him. He sprinted forward. Aizawa's scarf snapped out and wrapped around the villain's wrist, yanking the phone away before it could be aimed. The phone hit the ground and slid. Tokoyami's dark shadow slammed down like a heavy hand and covered it. "No screens," Tokoyami said, voice calm. The villain hissed. "You can't stop information," he shouted. Deku lunged and knocked him down with a clean strike, pinning him. "Watch me," Deku said through clenched teeth. Hawk swooped lower, grabbing another villain and lifting him off the ground like a toy. But then the ridge behind them lit up with a small, ugly glow. Someone had turned a screen on for 1 second. Not facing the heroes. Facing a crouched man at the back, a disposable man. He stared at the screen. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened. "I saw it," he whispered. Deku's heart stopped for a beat. From inside the cave, the crying stopped. Silence. Then the scream exploded out of the cave like a shockwave. The pale creature burst from the darkness. It was active now, hands off its face, head up, screaming, running straight toward the disposable man. The man turned and ran, not toward the woods, not away from people. He ran right toward the heroes, because that was the plan. Use the creature like a missile. Deku moved instantly, putting himself between the running man and the rest of the team. Aizawa shouted, "Deku, don't!" Deku didn't look at the face. He looked at the man's chest and shoulders. He grabbed him and threw him sideways with a burst of strength, sending him rolling down a slope away from the main group. The creature adjusted its path at once and chased him. It ran through trees like they weren't there. Deku chased too, because he couldn't let it smash into the team. The disposable man screamed and stumbled. Deku saw a narrow gap ahead, a rocky cut that led deeper between boulders. If he could get the man through the cut, maybe the creature would follow and be contained away from everyone else. But it was a horrible thought, because it meant using the man as bait. The man looked back over his shoulder, eyes wild. "Help me!" he screamed. Deku's jaw clenched. "You chose this," Deku yelled back. "You did this," the man sobbed. "They made me." Deku didn't know if that was true. He didn't have time to care. He grabbed the man's collar and hauled him forward toward the rocky cut. Behind them, The creature closed the distance like it was being pulled by a rope. It moved faster than Deku could match without hurting himself or everything around him. Deku shoved the man through the cut. The man fell into the narrow space between rocks. Deku jumped back out, away from the entrance, and slammed his foot down, breaking a chunk of rock loose to narrow the opening. Not enough to seal it, just enough to make a funnel. The creature slammed into the gap and forced itself through, screaming louder. Then Deku heard it. A sudden stop. Not silence, a different sound. A short, sharp end to the scream inside the rocks. Then, quiet. Deku stood frozen, breathing hard. He did not go in. He didn't have to see what happened to understand. The rule had been completed. The target was gone. The hunt ended. A few seconds later, the pale creature crawled back out of the rocky cut. Its hands flew up to cover its face again. It started to cry. Softly, like it was ashamed. Deku's throat tightened. He felt sick. He had saved his team. But he had still watched a person be used and then die. He hated the villains for it. He also hated how easy it was for them to force that outcome. Aizawa appeared beside him, scarf loose, eyes hard. "You did what you had to," Aizawa said. Deku's voice shook. "Did I?" he whispered. Aizawa didn't answer right away. He looked at the crying creature, then at the rocky cut, then at Deku. "You stopped a mass trigger," Aizawa said finally. If that screen had faced the wrong direction, hundreds could have become targets. Deku swallowed, eyes burning. "And now they know they can do this," he said. Aizawa nodded. "Yes," he said. "And now we know too." Back at the ridge, Hawks had the last villain pinned. Best Genist's cables bound him tight. Endeavor stood over him, flames low. "Who paid you?" Endeavor demanded. The villain laughed weakly. "Everyone pays," he said, "with money or fear." Hawks knelt and pulled a small data chip from the villain's pocket using a feather tip. He didn't look at any screen. He didn't plug it in. He just held it up. "This?" Hawks said. The villain's grin returned. "A sample," he said. "A piece of the product." Nezu's voice came through Hawks's earpiece, calm as ever. "Bring it sealed," Nezu said. "Do not open it." Hawks looked at the chip and felt a cold certainty. Even if they won today, the file was still out there, and files could be copied forever. Hawks sealed the chip in a metal case and snapped it shut. He looked out at the dark hills. Far away, the creature cried inside the cave again, face hidden, wanting only to be unseen. Hawks whispered to himself, "We're guarding a secret that wants to escape." He turned toward the team. Aizawa was already setting up blackout tarps. Tokoyami was deepening the shadows around the cave mouth, making it safer. Best Genist was building a fabric curtain tunnel, like a soft cage. Deku stood near the rocks, shoulders tight, eyes heavy. All Might stood beside him, not saying much, just being there. Endeavor watched from a distance, anger still burning, but quieter now. Nezu arrived in a small vehicle and looked at the scene with careful eyes. "We can contain it again," Nezu said softly. "For now." Aizawa nodded. "We bring it back," he said. "Deep. Dark. No cameras." Hawks let out a humorless breath. "So it's official," Hawks said. "I hate phones." For the first time in hours, Deku let out a small, tired sound that was almost a laugh. Then he looked at the sealed data case in Hawks's hand. "What's on that chip?" Deku asked. Hawks shook his head. "Don't know," he said. "But I know what it means." Deku's voice was quiet. "They got something," he said. Nezu nodded. "Yes," Nezu said. "A piece." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "And pieces are enough," he said. "Pieces become weapons." The team worked in silence after that, moving like professionals. They didn't look at faces. They didn't use screens. They didn't try to win with pride. They tried to keep the world from breaking. As dawn started to creep over the hills, the creature was back inside layers of blackout cloth, guided into a sealed transport, crying softly. It didn't fight. Not in this state. It just wanted to be gone. Deku watched the transport doors close. He felt the theme of this nightmare settle deeper into him. In this world, a villain could punch you, but a rumor could punch everyone at once. And somewhere out there, someone held a file with a code name. SCP-096, and they were smiling in the dark. 2 weeks later, the city still looked normal from far away. Up close, it had new habits. Phones sat inside sealed pouches on buses. Store owners taped over security screens during rush hours. Schools did screen-off drills, the way they used to do earthquake drills. Some people complained every day. Some people joked. Some people obeyed because they had seen what fear could do. At UA, the phone pouch box at the door was no longer a surprise. It was just part of the morning. Present Mike pointed at it with both hands, like a game show host who hated his own prize. All right. Phone's in the box, listeners. We're not doing one quick picture today. A student muttered. You say that every day. Present. Mike nodded. Because you try it every day. Aizawa stood behind him with that flat stare. The student's phone disappeared into the pouch without another word. Deku walked to class with a small roll of black tape in his pocket. He had started carrying it like it was as normal as a pen. He didn't even think about it until he saw a shiny window and felt his body tense. He hated that part. He also understood it. Inside the training hall, Aizawa's voice cut through the room. Blindfolds on, he said. Groans rose up. Aizawa didn't care. Deku tied the cloth over his eyes and listened. Footsteps. Breathing. A teammate's voice calling directions. He moved by sound and trust. It should have felt like a cool challenge. Instead, it felt like practice for a world that was one mistake away from breaking. After training, Deku sat on the floor, catching his breath. His arms still ached sometimes where the creature had grabbed him in the tunnel. The pain was not the worst part. The worst part was the rule. If you see the face, you become the target. And the target dies unless someone does the impossible. Deku stared at his own hands and thought, how do you save someone from a moment that already happened? Aizawa walked by and tossed him a bottle of water. Deku caught it. Sensei, he said quietly. Aizawa didn't stop walking. If you're about to ask me if I'm sleeping, Aizawa said, the answer is no. Deku blinked. I was going to ask if the creature is still contained. Aizawa stopped then. His voice stayed flat, but the weight behind it was heavy. Yes, he said. Deep. Dark. No windows, no screens. The strongest locks we have. And, it's calm? Deku asked. Aizawa's eyes narrowed slightly. It cries, he said. Less than before. But it cries. Deku swallowed. Does it understand anything? Aizawa didn't answer right away. He looked tired for a second, like he was carrying too many problems at once. I don't know, Aizawa said, and I'm not risking a test that could make more targets. Deku nodded. Right. Aizawa's gaze sharpened again. Also, he added, the commission called another meeting. You're coming. Deku's stomach tightened. Me? They want you there, Aizawa said, because you're the symbol of saving everyone in their eyes. Deku didn't like the way that sounded, but he stood up anyway. Okay, he said. The Hero Public Safety Commission building felt clean in the way hospitals felt clean. Too white, too quiet, too controlled. Deku sat at a long table with Aizawa on his left and Hawks across from him. All Might sat at the far end, shoulders squared, calm face on. Nezu wasn't there in person. He joined by audio only, through a speaker with the screen taped over. A commission director spoke first. "We are losing control of the file market," she said. Hawks leaned back in his chair, eyes half-lidded like he was bored. Deku could tell he wasn't bored. He was angry and tired. "Not losing," Hawks said. "We never had control." The director didn't smile. "Then we need a solution that ends this." All Might's voice stayed steady. "We are working on containment," he said. "We are working on takedowns." The director tapped a folder. "Containment is temporary," she said. "Takedowns are slow. People share copies in private. Even one copy is enough." A second official slid another folder onto the table. "We have an alternative plan," he said. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "Say it," he said. The official spoke like he was reading a weather report. "Controlled viewing," he said. "Controlled targeting. We select a viewer. We aim the creature at a target." Deku's skin went cold. "You mean," he started. Hawks cut in, voice sharp. "You mean you feed it a person?" The official didn't deny it. "We use criminals," he said. "We use villains. We save thousands." All Might's hand tightened on the table. "That is not hero work," he said. The director leaned forward. "Hero work is protecting society," she said. "This threat is not a normal villain. Our normal rules are failing." Aizawa's voice was low and dangerous. "Your plan breaks the rules," he said, "and you think you can put the pieces back after." The director's eyes flicked to Deku. "Midoriya," she said. "You want to save everyone. This plan saves everyone except the chosen viewer." Deku felt heat rise in his face. He forced himself to speak clearly. "You're asking us to decide who dies," he said. "On purpose." The official nodded once. "Yes." Deku's hands clenched. "Then what happens next?" he asked. "When the public learns heroes use fear as a weapon? When people stop trusting us? When villains copy the idea?" The director's voice sharpened. "The public will learn what we allow them to learn." Hawks laughed once, dry and bitter. "That's the part I hate," he said. Aizawa didn't look away. "You want to control information," he said. "But the whole problem is that information spreads." The director took a breath. "Then we must be faster," she said. "And we must be willing." All Might stood up slowly. The air in the room shifted. Even officials who didn't like him still felt the weight of him. "I will not allow this," All Might said. "I will not be the symbol of a system that sacrifices people to use a monster." The director's eyes narrowed. "And if All for One uses it first?" she asked. "If he broadcasts the face to force hundreds of targets? If he aims it at UA, at hospitals, at crowded trains?" Deku's stomach dropped. Because that wasn't a theory. It felt like a plan someone would make. Hawks' eyes sharpened. "We already saw a tunnel screen," Hawks said. "We already saw a disposable viewer. They're practicing." The director spread her hands. "Then you understand urgency," she said. "So choose the lesser evil." Deku's voice came out tight. "It's not lesser," he said. "It's just evil with a badge." Silence hit the room. Aizawa didn't react. He just watched Deku like he was measuring whether the kid would bend. Hawks looked down and hid a tiny smile. All Might's shoulders lowered just a little, like he was proud, but too tired to show it. The director's face hardened. "This meeting is not over," she said. "We will revisit this when you are ready to be practical." Aizawa's voice stayed cold. "We're practical," he said. "That's why we're saying no." Deku stood up too, legs steady even though his stomach wasn't. We'll stop all for one without becoming him, he said. As they left, Hawks leaned close to Deku and whispered, "You just made yourself a big problem for a lot of people in that building." Deku swallowed. "I can live with that." Hawks's eyes were tired. "Good," he said. "Because they don't forgive easily." That night, Hawks got the message. It didn't come as a call. It didn't come as a text. It came as a person. A quiet man in a delivery uniform showed up at a police station, asked to speak to the winged hero, and handed over a sealed envelope. Hawks didn't open it on camera. He didn't open it near screens. He took it to a plain room with a single lamp and tore it open with careful fingers. Inside was one sheet of paper. No pictures, just words, a location, a time, and one sentence written like a promise. "If you refuse to use the monster, I will use your city." Hawks's feathers lifted. He didn't need a signature to know who it was. He tapped his earpiece. "Aizawa," Hawks said. "We have a date." Aizawa's reply came fast. "Where?" Hawks read the location. His jaw tightened. "It's a stadium," Hawks said. "A public place. Big screens." Aizawa cursed under his breath, which for him was basically yelling. Hawks's voice went low. "He's going to try a mass viewing," Hawks said. "One flash, 1 second, that's all it takes." Aizawa's voice hardened. "We shut the screens down," he said. "We clear the stadium." Hawks exhaled. "We try," he said. But he picked it for a reason. People love crowds. Hawks could already see it in his mind. Hundreds of faces turned toward a screen. Hundreds of new targets. Hundreds of screaming problems. He hated how clean the plan was. He hated how much it relied on normal human behavior. Curiosity. Habit. Looking up. The next morning, Deku stood in the UA courtyard with a bag of black cloth strips over his shoulder. Aizawa walked beside him. "We're going to a stadium," Aizawa said. "We are not fighting a villain first. We are fighting timing." Deku nodded. "Evacuation," he said. "Evacuation," Aizawa confirmed. "Screen control, signal control, and if anyone tries to show anything, we stop them," Deku said. Aizawa looked at him. Without looking, Aizawa reminded. Deku's throat tightened. Right. All Might met them at the gate. He wasn't in full hero form, but he still stood like a wall. "You will protect the people," All Might said. Deku nodded. "Yes." All Might's eyes softened for half a second. "And you will protect your own heart," he added quietly. "Do not let fear teach you to hate." Deku swallowed. "I'll try," he said. Hawks landed nearby, eyes sharp, wings tense. "Everyone's roles are simple," Hawks said. "I go high. I cut signals. I watch rooftops. I grab anyone with a device." Best Jeanist's calm voice joined through comms. "I will cover screens," he said. "Cloth does not need to see." Endeavor's voice came next, rough. "I will burn the hackers," he said. Aizawa's tone was hard. "Controlled," he warned. Endeavor snorted. "I heard you," he said. Nezu's voice came through the taped-over speaker. "Remember the theme," Nezu said. "This is not about winning a fight. It is about preventing a chain." Deku took a breath. The bag of blindfold cloth felt heavy, but it also felt like a promise. The stadium was already filling when they arrived. Families, students, fans, vendors selling drinks, people laughing. Big screens hung above the field, playing highlight clips and ads. Deku's chest tightened at every screen he saw. Hawks flew high and fast, scanning for suspicious movement. "Rooftops look clean," Hawks said, "for now." Police started moving through the crowd with calm voices. "We have a safety check," officers said. "Please keep phones in pockets. Please follow staff directions." Some people listened. Some people complained. A man held his phone up and said, "I paid for this seat. I'm filming the intro." A police officer started to argue. Aizawa stepped in and stared at the man. The man's phone dropped to his lap. "Okay," he muttered. Present Mike was not here, but Deku heard his voice in his head anyway. No cameras. It would have been funny if it wasn't real. Best Jeanists' teams rolled out large cloth sheets on poles, like curtains on wheels. They positioned them near the biggest screens. Deku ran a pack of blindfold strips to medical staff. "If anything happens," he said, "cover your eyes and listen for hero calls." A nurse frowned. "Is it really that serious?" Deku nodded. "Yes," he said simply. Then Hawks's voice snapped through comms like a whip. "Movement under the main screen rig," Hawks said. "2 men. Toolbox. Not stadium staff." Aizawa's posture changed instantly. "Deku," he said. "With me." They moved fast along the field edge, using the cloth screen carts as cover to avoid reflections. Deku saw the men near a panel under the screen supports. One held a laptop. The other held a small device like a signal booster. Aizawa didn't hesitate. His scarf shot out, wrapping the laptop and yanking it away. The man cursed and reached for his pocket. Deku lunged and grabbed his wrist, twisting just enough to stop the movement. A phone hit the ground. Deku stomped it without thinking. The man screamed, "You can't stop it!" Aizawa's eyes were cold. "Watch me," he said, and knocked him out clean. The second man tried to run. Hawks dove from above and snatched him like a hawk grabbing prey, then dropped him gently into police hands. Hawks looked down at Deku, breathing hard. "Too close," Hawks said. Deku nodded, heart racing. "They were trying to hijack the screen," he said. Hawks's voice went tight. "That was the warm-up," he said. And then the stadium lights flickered. Once. Twice. A low murmur rolled through the crowd. Deku's stomach dropped. "Power," he whispered. Endeavor's voice came over comms. "Power station hit," he said. "I'm moving." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "Cover the screens," he ordered. "Now." Best Jeanists' cloth carts rolled forward faster. Fabric rose like giant curtains in front of the biggest screens. But the screens were high, and the villains didn't need a long show. They needed one flash. A loud bang sounded outside the stadium. Another bang, like explosions, but controlled. People gasped. Some stood up. Some pointed. Some lifted phones out of habit. Deku's chest tightened. "Phones down," he shouted, voice raw. Aizawa grabbed a stadium mic and spoke once, loud and sharp. "Everyone close your eyes, now!" The crowd hesitated. It was a hard thing to ask. But Aizawa's voice didn't sound like a request. It sounded like a law of nature. Enough people obeyed that it mattered. Deku ran through the nearest aisle, handing blindfold strips to anyone who grabbed for them. "Cover your eyes," he repeated. "Please, just do it." A child asked, "Why?" Deku didn't have time for long explanations. "Because looking could hurt you," he said. Above them, one small screen near a VIP box flickered back on, not covered by cloth, too far away, a perfect little hole in their defense. Deku's heart lurched. Hawks saw it too. "VIP screen," Hawks shouted. He dove, but someone got there first. A villain in a staff jacket stood inside the VIP box, holding a tablet up like a spotlight. The tablet screen was bright. Deku couldn't see what was on it from this distance. He didn't want to. But the point wasn't the content yet. The point was the moment. Aizawa's voice snapped again. "Don't look!" Some people already were. Because people were curious. Because people were scared. Because people looked up when lights flickered. Hawks hit the VIP box like a missile, feathers smashing the tablet out of the villain's hand. The tablet shattered. But the villain laughed like he'd won anyway. Too late, he yelled. Deku's throat tightened. Did anyone see it? Did it show? Aizawa's voice came through, controlled but hard. Hawks, he said. Confirm. Did it display the face? Hawks's reply was quick. I didn't look, Hawks said. I can't confirm. Deku felt cold fear spread through his chest, because if they couldn't confirm, they had to assume the worst. Aizawa made the call anyway. Evacuate, he said. Full evacuation. Blindfolds on. No screens. No questions. Police and heroes moved like a wave. They guided people out in lines, keeping heads down, using cloth curtains and matte panels to block reflections. Best Jeanist's fabric wrapped around smaller screens like bandages. Tokoyami arrived at the stadium entrance with dark shadow rising behind him, and the edges of the stadium dimmed, shadows deepening. Less light, Tokoyami said. Less accidental looking. Endeavor's voice came again, harsh. I found the signal jammer team, he said. They're running. Aizawa's voice was ice. Stop them, he said, but do not ignite the crowd. Endeavor snarled. I know, he said, and the line cut out. Deku ran with a group of children and parents. He heard sobbing. He heard confused questions. He heard a man complain. This is ridiculous. Deku wanted to yell back. Instead, he kept moving. He saw a teen in the aisle with a phone half raised, shaking. I just want to call my mom, the teen whispered. Deku knelt fast. We'll get you to her, he said. Just trust me for 30 seconds. The teen's eyes filled with tears. He nodded and lowered the phone. Deku stood and pushed forward. Then Hawks's voice came in, sharp and urgent. Deku, Hawks said, we have confirmed viewers. Deku's blood turned cold. How many? He asked. 3, Hawks said. 2 civilians, 1 villain we caught. They admit they saw the face. Deku's chest tightened. Where are they? Hawks spoke fast. Police have them in blackout vans, moving to deep isolation. We're doing it now. Aizawa's voice cut in. If the creature is triggered, Aizawa said, it will head for them. Keep them underground. No detours. Deku swallowed. Is it triggered? He asked, voice small. Hawks paused. Just a beat. We don't know yet, Hawks said. But I feel like we're about to find out. Deku's heart pounded. Because if those viewers were real, the rule would activate. And somewhere deep in a dark facility, a pale creature might stop crying and start screaming again. The containment site was silent except for the hum of ventilation. Inside the deepest chamber, the creature sat with its knees pulled close, face covered, shoulders shaking with soft, tired crying. It had been calmer lately, not safe, but calmer. Then, far away, something changed. A link formed. A moment snapped into place. Somebody saw the face. The creature froze. The crying stopped. Its hands trembled against its face. Then the scream erupted, loud enough to rattle bolts. Sensors spiked. Warning lights flashed in the control room. A guard's eyes widened. It's active, he whispered. Aizawa's voice came through the emergency line instantly. Don't look, he ordered. Lock every door. Move the viewers deeper. Now. The guard's hands shook as he hit switches by touch, not by sight. Screens were covered. The room was trained for this. But the sound still made people flinch. The creature slammed into the inner barrier. Once, twice. The steel bent slightly. The guard swallowed. It knows, he whispered. Aizawa's voice stayed steady. Yes, he said. So we move the target where it can't reach fast. On the highway, 3 blackout vans sped toward an old underground service route. Hawks flew overhead, watching for ambush. Villains tried anyway. A truck swerved in front of the lead van, trying to force a stop. Hawks dropped, feathers slicing tires with careful cuts. The truck spun out and hit a barrier, metal screaming. No one died. Hawks made sure of that. He didn't want more blood in a problem already soaked with fear. Behind them, another villain car tried to ram. Endeavor arrived like a roaring sun, blasting a wall of heat in front of the car. The driver panicked and swerved away. Endeavor's voice came through comms, rough. "They wanted a crash," he said. "They wanted the vans open." Aizawa's reply was sharp. "Keep them closed," he said. Deku ran through the stadium parking lot with the last evac line. People were shivering. Some were angry. Some were grateful. Some were just quiet. Eyes down. Hands on blindfold cloth. When the last group reached safety, Deku turned back. Aizawa stood near a police line, eyes tired but still sharp. Deku approached. "We stopped the screens," Deku said. "We evacuated." Aizawa nodded once. "We reduced damage," he said. "That's a win." Deku's throat tightened. 3 viewers, he said. "That means—" "I know," Aizawa said. Deku looked toward the city skyline. He imagined the creature screaming in the dark. He imagined it slamming into steel again and again. "How long can we do this?" Deku asked. Aizawa's eyes stayed on the skyline. "As long as we have to," he said. Deku's voice shook. "And the commission?" he asked. Aizawa's mouth tightened. "They'll push harder now," he said, "because fear makes people want simple answers." Deku nodded slowly. "And All for One wanted that," he said. Aizawa finally looked at him. "Yes," he said. "He wanted to show us the edge. He wanted to see if we'd step over it." Deku's hands clenched. "I won't," he said. Aizawa's stare held him for a long second. Then Aizawa nodded once. "Good," he said, "because if you do, you'll never come back." Hawks landed nearby, breathing hard. "Signal team caught," he said. "Most of them, not all." Aizawa didn't look surprised. "He never uses one plan," Aizawa said. Hawks rubbed his forehead. "The viewers are deep," he said. "We bought time," Deku whispered, "but the link still exists." Nezu's voice came through comms, soft. "Yes," Nezu said, "but we also learned something important." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "What?" Nezu's voice stayed calm. "He tried to force mass viewing," Nezu said, "but he only got 3 confirmed viewers. Our protocols worked." Hawks let out a breath. "So no cameras actually saved people," he said. Deku almost laughed. "Almost?" Nezu continued. "This is our new world," he said. "Not perfect, not clean, but survivable." Aizawa's voice was firm. "Then we keep it survivable," he said. Endeavor walked up, flames low, face hard. "And what about ending it?" Endeavor asked. "What about destroying the creature?" All Might stepped forward beside Deku. His voice was steady, t-shirt, and unbreakable. "We do not end fear by becoming it," All Might said. Endeavor glared, but he didn't argue this time. He just looked away. Deku felt something settle in his chest. Not peace, a decision. They had stopped the worst of tonight. They hadn't solved the rule, but they had refused to turn into monsters. And that mattered. As the emergency crews moved and the city calmed, Hawks looked up at the dark sky and muttered, "If I see one person trying to film a sunset right now." Deku finally let out a small, tired laugh. It was brief. It didn't erase anything, but it was human. And that was the point. A few days later, UA felt almost normal again. Almost. Students walked the halls with phones sealed in pouches, like it was just a fashion trend. Someone had drawn a tiny camera with a big red X on the pouch box. Present Mike pretended it was school spirit. In class, Aizawa held up a hand. A student raised their phone halfway without thinking, then froze. Aizawa didn't shout. He didn't lecture. He just said one word. "No." The phone went down. Deku watched that and felt strange gratitude, not for rules, for safety. After school, Deku found Eri in the common room with a coloring book. She was drawing a dark cave with a small light dot far away, like a star. Deku sat on the floor a few steps away, careful not to crowd her. "That's nice," he said. Eri glanced up. "It's quiet," she said. Deku nodded. "Quiet is good," he said. Eri looked down again. "People are scared," she said softly. "I hear them." Deku swallowed. He didn't want to lie to her. "Yeah," he said. "Some people are." Eri's small hand tightened on the crayon. "Can I help?" she asked. Deku's heart clenched. "You already help," he said. "By being safe. By being you." Eri blinked, like she wasn't sure that counted. Deku leaned in a little, voice gentle. "Helping doesn't always mean using a power," he said. "Sometimes it means not letting adults turn you into a tool." Eri stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once, slow. "Okay," she whispered. Far away, deep under reinforced concrete, the pale creature sat in darkness. Its face was covered. It didn't understand hero speeches. It didn't understand laws. It didn't understand why one look changed everything. It only knew one thing. When it was unseen, the world hurt less. It breathed in and out, shoulders rising and falling. The crying came in small waves now, not constant, but never fully gone. Outside its chamber, guards stood silent with their screens taped, their radios audio only. Nobody said its codename out loud in that hallway, but on a locked shelf in Nezu's office, a paper printout sat inside a sealed folder. SCP-096, a name from another world. Proof that somewhere, someone had written this creature down like a problem to solve. In a back room behind a closed shop, a hand-to-hand trade happened under a flickering ceiling light. No one turned on their phone screens. No one looked at pictures. They were careful, because even criminals could learn fear. A small metal case changed hands. Inside was a drive labeled in marker, "Shy Guy." The buyer didn't smile. He just nodded once and tucked it away like it was gold. As he left, he spoke into a radio with the screen removed. "We still have it," he said. "One clean copy. The heroes can't erase what spreads." A voice on the other end answered, calm and pleased. "Good," it said. "Then the city will keep looking down." The line clicked off. Outside, life kept moving. People walked. Kids laughed. Trains ran. And in that world, the scariest power wasn't a punch. It was a moment you couldn't take back.